As Jazmine strode barefoot down the beach, her dark hair played in the soft summer breeze, seemingly rebelling against its direction, showcasing a wild spirit that mirrored her own. The moon, full and luminous, bathed the surrounding world in its mystic light, intensifying the night's enchantment. Her footprints, etched in the cool sand, were a transient testament of her existence, and her flip-flops, now void of purpose, were left behind, cradled by the sand. Her heart, heavy from the day's weariness, found solace in the rhythmic lullaby of the waves. The salty air whispered secrets into her ears, secrets of lands far and distant, and stories of the sea. As the balmy night enveloped her in its comforting arms, she felt the tensions of the day dissipate. The stars in the sky teased her with their twinkling dance as though daring her to join them. She wished she could pluck them out of their heavenly abode and hold their magic in her hands. Tonight she wasn't alone. Brad, a presence both familiar and comforting, accompanied her. His voice, a soothing serenade, pulled her out of her celestial daydreams. His words, beautiful, isn't it, hung in the air. And she knew he wasn't just referring to the picturesque setting. The moonlight enhanced his allure, etching his features in a tantalizing silhouette, making her heart flutter. They found a spot on the beach, a patch that promised tranquility, and he spread out a blanket. The curve of his back was poetry in motion, and it left her enchanted. They sat in silence, the sky, the sea, and the sand as their companions. The ocean sparkled under the moon's affectionate gaze, an undulating city of silver. In this serene cocoon, she finally voiced her anxieties. "Brad, why do you like me so much?" Her voice was barely audible against the melody of the waves. The vulnerability in her gaze met his, stirring in him a whirlpool of emotions. She confessed, "My heart is a lonely island. I have shipwrecks at my shores, destroyed souls that sought me as their sanctuary. Don't be fooled by my seemingly expansive heart. It can't bear the weight of everything. I'm afraid my lighthouse may lead you to a place where even waves break down, Brad." Her confession hung in the air, seemingly longer than she had anticipated. The silence was oppressive, and the cool wind seemed to echo her fears. She urged him to respond, her heart crying out for reassurance. His warm fingers on her chin gently turned her to face him. His gaze held hers, a silent promise that he was listening, understanding, and appreciating. After a beat, he responded, "So what?" It was an unexpected response. Did he just dismiss her heartfelt confession? So what? What did he mean? Brad held her hand and explained, "You talked about your lighthouse, didn't you? Well, its light reached out to me. In my quest to reach you, I carved the sturdiest boat, battled the harshest storms, and sailed the roughest seas. Now I'm here, on your island, in the glow of your light." The intensity in his voice made her heart flutter. His words were a balm on her fears, and her anxieties seemed to evaporate with the tide. She found herself falling into him, into the abyss of his eyes, into the sanctuary of his arms. Her lips met his in a kiss that felt like the meeting of two lost souls, lost yet now found in each other. The crashing waves, the whispering wind, all faded into the background. The only sound that mattered was the symphony of their hearts. Her lonely island was lonely no more. A warmth spread through them as they broke apart, their gazes reconnecting with a newfound intensity. A shared laughter danced between them, a reassurance that echoed over the quiet whispers of the sea. It was a reassurance that he had understood her, had listened to her, had heard her, and had chosen to stay. With her heart still racing, she turned her gaze back to the vastness of the sea. Brad, following her lead, leaned back on his arms, his gaze also focused on the horizon where the moon cast a silver path across the gentle waves. It was a silent moment of shared understanding, a gentle agreement that they were embarking on a journey that may be rocky, maybe filled with storms and uncertainties, but it was a journey they chose to undertake together. Her words hung between them, echoing in the air, her fears, her insecurities, and her courage in voicing them. And there was his response, the raw honesty of his feelings, the promise of his persistence, and the acceptance of the challenges that may come. They were two souls that found each other in the vastness of the world, each bearing their own shipwrecks and lighthouses, each having chosen to navigate toward the other. "Jazz," he started, his voice softly breaking the silence, yet it felt like the most natural sound merging with the rhythm of the waves. "Yeah, Brad?" she answered, her eyes remaining fixed on the dancing light in the ocean. "You're not a lonely island anymore." His words were simple, but carried the weight of his promise, and with that she turned to look at him, her eyes glistening in the moonlight, a small smile playing on her lips. "I know," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Thank you." The cool ocean breeze blew around them, carrying away their words, their promises, their fears. But in its place, it left a comforting silence, a silence filled with understanding, filled with the anticipation of a shared journey, filled with the echoes of the unspoken "I love you." Their fingers interlaced as their hearts beat in a rhythm only they could understand. The island was lonely no more. The night was no longer just a cover of darkness, but a blanket of stars, each blinking in approval of their story. And thus, there they were, two souls, under the moonlit sky, embarking on a journey to turn a lonely island into a sanctuary of love. Their story had just begun. The path was unknown, the journey was long, but they had chosen to sail together. They were ready for the coming chapters, ready to face the storms, ready to bask in the sunny days, and ready to create a constellation of memories under the starlit sky. The once lonely island had found its ship, and the ship had found its shore. Together, they were home.